Hello, I am Maggie Ruelle, and under the guidance of Dr. Julia Collier-Earle at Baylor University, I am proud to share my study titled Exploring Student Perceptions of the Role of the Learning Commons in Academic Success, a qualitative exploratory single case study at a mid-sized community college. Over the next 10 minutes or so, I will share each of the major sections of my study as listed on the screen, beginning with the problem statement and concluding with my references. The problem I sought to address through my study is that while academic libraries transitioned to a learning commons model over the last 30 years, design of these new spaces lost sight of the learning mission of the library, leading to uncertainty of how well the learning commons model actually meets the core purposes and values of the academic library. Furthermore, despite the intention to incorporate new services and spaces that would entice students to use the library space more regularly, recent evidence indicates that students are not engaging in library services while visiting the learning commons. The works of Allison et al. 2019, Bennett 2015, and Zhao et al. 2021 all helped shape this problem statement. I divided the literature review into 4 main sections. In the first section, I traced the evolution of the academic library through the literature, outlining the ways in which the academic library transitioned to a learning commons model that incorporates technology services and academic supports such as tutoring into the library space. Next, I reviewed the literature related to the learning commons environment. The third section of my literature review addressed student learning needs and preferences related to the learning commons. The fourth and final section of the literature review examined student behavior within the learning commons. The literature review provided a broad overview of the concerns facing practitioners in higher education learning commons. To continue to build on the body of knowledge related to learning commons and student success in higher education, I chose to focus specifically on community college students. Community colleges are a segment of higher education that are not as well represented as universities in the literature related to this topic. The purpose of this qualitative exploratory single case study was to explore student perceptions of how attributes of the learning commons model at a mid-sized community college contributes to their academic success. The research question guiding my study asked, what are students' perceptions of the importance of the learning commons space related to access and linkages, uses and activities, sociability, and comfort and image to their academic success? Within the research question, I embedded the 4 levels of the hierarchy of learning space attributes proposed by Cunningham and Tabor in 2012. These authors created a hierarchy that superimposed Kent and Myrick's learning space attributes onto Maslow's hierarchy of needs, creating a hierarchy that suggests students need a learning commons that meets a basic level of service and design expectations before moving up the pyramid. At the base of Cunningham and Tabor's hierarchy of learning space attributes is access and linkages. Following that is uses and activities, which students engage in while they are in the learning commons. The third level is sociability, which describes students' desires for communal and social spaces. And then at the top of the hierarchy is comfort and image, which captures the sense of scholarship or scholarly atmosphere the learning commons conveys. I used the theoretical framework to inform my research methodology. First, I selected a mid-sized community college in Texas as the site of my study and developed data collection protocols. I then recruited study participants through convenience sampling. To be eligible to participate in the study, students had to be over the age of 18, enrolled in at least 1 class on the main campus, and have completed at least 1 semester of college. 7 students participated in the study. The 7 students captured a total of 98 photographs during the photo elicitation phase of the study. Additionally, I conducted 15 observations over a 6-week period. Following data collection, I transcribed all interviews and organized the data. Then, I analyzed the data using a variety of qualitative data analysis techniques, including memoing, in vivo coding, descriptive coding, a priori coding based on the theoretical framework, and pattern coding. Finally, I developed themes based on the theoretical framework that captured the big ideas from the study. Overall, the participant profiles in the study were fairly diverse with the exception of age groups. Only 1 non-traditional student, or adult learner, participated in this study. Additionally, female students were slightly overrepresented compared with the overall population at the study site. I developed the interview protocols based on the works of Cresswell and Poth 2018, Fox 2009, and Jacob and Ferguson 2012. I conducted interviews in 2 parts, with the first part of the interview focused on general questions about students' perceptions of the Learning Commons, and the second part of the interview focused on the results of students' responses to the photo elicitation project. I developed the photo elicitation protocol based on the works of Bugos et al. 2014, Harper 2002 and 2005, Hopkins and Wart 2020, and Van Auken et al. 2010. This portion of data collection asked students to collect and then discuss photos of different areas of the Learning Commons based on a set of prompts I provided. Finally, I developed observation protocols based on the works of Cresswell and Poth 2018, Driscoll 2011, and Jacob and Ferguson 2012. Based on my data analysis, I identified 4 themes related to each of the 4 hierarchy of learning space attributes. The first theme is that students avoid spaces they perceive are not for them. The students in this study revealed that they may make judgments about the relevance of a space to their academic journey, sometimes without ever even visiting the space. This was especially true for the spaces with clearly associated activities, such as the Academic Success Center and the Digital Media Lab. For example, Adam shared that he is interested in the Digital Media Lab, but he had never used it because he assumes it is meant for other students. Overall, students exhibited a lack of awareness about the tangential benefits of accessing spaces that can both support and inspire any student's academic journey, regardless of declared major. The second theme is that the value of the Learning Commons is in serving diverse needs. While the Learning Commons serves a core academic purpose of providing space for students to study and complete assignments, students also shared that the Learning Commons is unique in this function because of the technology and resources and personnel available. Furthermore, students appreciated that the Learning Commons provided places to take brain breaks without completely disrupting the study process. The third theme is that students crave and find connections to both people and physical space. A common refrain from students was that they were motivated by seeing their classmates study. Even if they were engaged in individual work, students felt supported knowing that others were in the building for the same purpose of successfully completing coursework. Additionally, students identified specific spaces within the Learning Commons to which they were drawn, indicating a connection and level of comfort with the building itself. The fourth and final theme is that students thrive in calm yet productive environments. Students shared that they appreciated the focused atmosphere and the views of nature provided in the Learning Commons. Chloe, for example, said that the atmosphere of the Learning Commons contributed to earning a higher grade in chemistry. When students like Frankie, however, feel that the Learning Commons is not calm enough to allow for deep focus, they will seek out other spaces. The findings of my study largely support the existing body of literature, with a few exceptions. I will now share the connections to the theoretical framework and 3 of the 4 areas of the literature. 5 of 7 students indicated that they perceive the Learning Commons space as very important to meeting their educational goals and achieving academic success. The relative importance of each level of the hierarchy of learning space attributes, however, diverged from Cunningham and Tabor's 2012 work, in that students ranked uses and activities as less important to their success than sociability or comfort and image, indicating that the sum total of the learning space attributes is more important to perceptions of success than the individual levels. This finding supports Chan and Spodek's contention that the 4 levels of learning space attributes work together holistically to support student success. Regarding the Learning Commons environment, the findings of this study indicate that students view the library as a comfortable, familiar place where they can be productive outside of home or work, as described in Oldenburg's and Siemens' conceptions of third places. My findings also support Kahn and Underwood and Leong et al.'s earlier findings that students desire zones that clearly delineate what activities are appropriate. However, my findings diverge from the literature presented by Dufresne and Hong, as well as Stemmer and Strasser, that share a notable proportion of students find the Learning Commons too noisy to support effective study practices. The students in this study generally did not find the noise level disruptive to their ability to study and regularly described the space as quiet. Moving on to student learning needs and preferences. Like Solberg and Rismark, students in this study shared the need to balance freedom with responsibility and reported that the Learning Commons environment supported their self-regulation. Additionally, the findings of the study converged with those of Ormrod, who argues that students need to feel socially connected to best engage with their coursework. The results of this study diverged from Mantooth's findings, however, in that offering technology-driven active learning spaces such as a digital media lab, did not increase students' perceptions of their ability to learn better. In the last area of the literature, student behavior, Cox and Jimenez each found that students claim spaces and create their own meanings in spaces. I found support for these behaviors in my study in both observations and interview responses. Finally, Larson et al. And Neves-Whitmore caution against changes that unintentionally contribute to student anxiety in the Learning Commons, arguing that more needs to be done to address library anxiety. The students in this study shared similar concerns, noting that it can be stressful trying to navigate the Learning Commons. We turn now to the implications and recommendations. From this study, I noted 6 implications for various interest groups, and I offer 11 recommendations. The primary interest group for my study is Learning Commons deans and directors. First, low levels of students advocating for their needs, combined with potential bias among personnel that students will seek help as needed, points to 2 recommendations. I suggest regular wayfinding audits and policy reviews to improve accessibility and better meet student needs. Additionally, ensure that staff are properly trained to recognize signs that a student needs help and proactively offer support rather than waiting for students to come to them. A second implication is that budget resources may need to be reallocated. To this end, I recommend that in community college settings similar to my study site, budget authorities focus requests on increased personnel, better training, and extended operational hours rather than on the things of learning, such as niche technology that students may not want or need to be successful. Third, Learning Commons deans and directors have an obligation to provide support for all types of students. I recommend that spaces are designed to accommodate all learners, including those who need to study free from visual and auditory distractions. Additionally, avoid programming and services focused primarily on the needs of traditional-aged students and consider the needs of adult learners who represent a significant portion of the community college population. This would be a great area of future research, as this study had only 1 adult learner participant. Finally, re-examine practices of tracking space utilization relative to academic success by incorporating metrics that also capture usage of support services within the Learning Commons, such as tutoring. The second set of implications and recommendations pertain to community college administrators. First, the Learning Commons building continues to be important as a space to complete coursework. To this end, I caution administrators from putting too many student services offices in the Learning Commons that may overshadow the primary purpose of the space. Second, creating a warm, friendly environment is a noteworthy contributor to the perceived importance of the Learning Commons to academic success, and I recommend that administrators prioritize library maintenance and updates. These updates may be as simple as modernizing furniture or putting a fresh coat of paint on the walls. The final implication and recommendations are for the community college students. In this study, I found that students may enter the Learning Commons as passive participants with uncertainty about the full range of available supports. I encourage students to actively explore the Learning Commons, provide feedback for improvements, and feel empowered and entitled to all the resources available that will help facilitate their success. After all, the fundamental purpose of the Learning Commons is to support students in their academic journey. To share my findings with a broader audience, I plan to submit articles for publication to academic journals related to libraries and community colleges. I also plan to submit conference proposals to national and regional conferences to reach a wider group of community college administrators. Finally, to reach community college students, I will implement a comprehensive social media and outreach campaign to better reach all students and enhance awareness and utilization of supports and services available within the Learning Commons. And here is a list of my references discussed in this presentation. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn about my study, and an extra special thank you to my faculty advisor, Dr. Julia Collier-Earle, my second reader, Dr. Kelly Dixon, and committee member, Dr. Lacey Crocker-Papadakis, along with the entire Research and Writing Development Center team at Baylor University for providing invaluable feedback and support throughout this process.